Welcome to Geeky Girls Knit and Cross Stitch. I'm Cece, also known as Java Pearl, and I'm glad to have you today. Today is Monday I just looked, 25th of May. Why am I looking at my watch? I'm recording on my computer and it says it right there. It's a Monday. It's the 25th of May, 2020, and this is Stitch With Me, episode 7. I'd like to say a big welcome back. Love you guys to all the returning viewers, and a big hiya to any new viewers. Thanks for giving us a shot. Hope you enjoy the show. If you're new to us, my daughter Dammy and I started this is a knitting podcast almost 8 years ago now, and then last year when I returned to cross stitching and then taught Dammy cross stitch, we added a FlossTube segment to our existing podcast, and then I did a couple of Stitch With Me's to fill in when I couldn't get to Dammy to record. She's home right now because of pandemic, but she is she's in university, and so but then once she was home, because she's doing school online right now, I found that I was missing doing Stitch With Me's, so I started doing Stitch With Me's on Mondays. So this week I'm continuing to work on what I was previously working on. This is a pattern from the Pusheen Cross Stitch Kit. I have completed 2 of the 3 patterns already. I've completed this one and this one, and I am currently stitching on this one. And then I have a finishing idea to finish them all together as one piece. This is on 14 count Aida that came with the kit, and the 4 colors of floss also came with the kit. So, I've said this on here before, but when I stitch normally, I like to hold it up here, and so it is an adjustment to hold it where y'all can see it. But we make do. I typically use the sewing method to stitch, and do that for the most part, but occasionally you have to do what you have to do to make it work. And I like to, I don't remember whose floss, I wish I could remember, on someone's FlossTube at some point in my journey of watching FlossTubes over this last year, they talked about sticking their needle in between the 2 threads to help it lay flatter, and so I've just gotten into that habit. It would be helpful if I actually went in the hole, and it's supposed to help make your flosses lay flatter. Don't know if it 100% does that or not, but I'm now in the habit of doing it, and so I continue doing it. I don't really think anything new has happened in the last week. We are still under a stay-at-home order, so we are in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, and they have opened up some counties to be able some counties here in the state have been able to apply to move into phase 2 of the reopening, and our county actually qualified for that. I can't remember what the metric was. I think it came down to how many cases, like within the last 14 days, how many cases per 10,000 people in the county had tested positive, and we met that guideline. But then apparently, right as we were meeting that guideline, there was new case, or potentially, I guess, cases now at a nursing home in our county. So the powers that be decided not to apply for phase 2 reopening, or the next phase 2 of the reopening thing to happen. So we are still in phase 1 in our county, and we continue to be home. Dammy has, I think, 2 weeks, and then quote-unquote finals week. I think she only has finals in 1 class to finish up of her 2nd year of university. If everything works out, she's planning to take 2 science classes at our community college this summer, just to get those out of the way, so she won't have those to worry about during her regular um, winter, spring quarters. So yeah, she is staying busy doing that. Dr. Hubbs is still working from home for at least the next week, and then I assume that he will go back to some sort of schedule. I don't know that he'll be back in his office 5 days a week, but yeah, he has masks to wear. Well, so we're not doing. So I have a regular mask, and we had some mine's one of the reusable ones that you can wash and everything. We had some of the single-use disposable masks that he and Dammy tried when they were doing shopping and such, and neither of them liked it. So I had some of those. I don't have one on today, but they're the cloth tubes that can be worn as a headband, which is how I typically wear them, or as a cowl or over your face or whatever. And so I had some, and they I gave them the least pink of the lot to use, and they both liked those much better. And so so that we don't have to wash when he does go back to work, so we don't have to wash it every single night once he gets home and everything. I ordered a pack of, I think there's 6 of them in black, so there's no pink in that at all, for him to use when he goes back to work, especially because he commutes an hour each way on the ferry, as well as does rides on the bus. So that just makes us feel better that he would have masks to wear. So, okay, I filled in that donut. So we're going to come over here and do one of the 3 stars. So let's see, it goes on this row, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So it needs to start right there. Does anybody else do that thing where you make the hole bigger so that when I pull the needle out and go around to the back to stick it in, I make sure and I stick it in the right hole? It may be just me. Yeah, but I think that is about it around here for this past week. We've been having some ups and downs in our weather. We had a couple days where it hit upper 70s, but then it's been back down into the 50s and 60s as a high. But it's supposed to get back up into the 70s this week. So, we have in our flat, the room that I'm in right now, which is technically the dining room, but I use it as an office. There's a ceiling fan in here, but that's the only ceiling fan in the unit. And air conditioning is not the norm up here. So we do have an air conditioner we can, that's a portable type thing that we can put in to use. We tend to wait till the warmest part of the summer before we do that. But we had 2 oscillating stand fans, and we would just move one, Dammy has one in her room, and then we would move one back and forth between the living room and our bedroom at night. But so we wouldn't have to do that. I ordered a 3rd one. And so Pink Pearl, the kitty, was very, very happy that we did that because she thought that big old box that the oscillating fan came in was for her. So she's a silly girl. But so yeah, so we have that now, and we have the windows open during the day and such, but we're on the ground floor, and so I don't like to leave windows open at night. So I can't imagine living in Texas, where we're from, without air conditioning being installed. We've lived, I guess, a couple places in Texas that didn't have traditional air conditioning but had window units, which isn't the best, but it is better than nothing. So, yeah. But it doesn't get too hot up here for very, very long. So, knock on wood. So we make do. So, okay, well, there's one star done already. Those are fast. And then, let's see, this next one goes on this row, and it starts right here. Yeah. So, I was trying to think if there was anything else I was going to tell y'all about before I jump into some prompts. Oops. Gosh, don't you hate when you do that? Can't see what I'm doing. Hold on. I can't have the ceiling, so the ceiling fan is actually right above where I'm sitting. I can't have that light on when I'm doing a stitch with me here, because it makes the light, it reflects on the camera, this camera right here that I'm recording my stitching with, weirdly, and gives it a weird glare. So I have the light on in the kitchen, which is that way. But good grief, I see I messed up. Guys, what am I doing? Have I forgotten how to stitch since yesterday? Okay, there we go. Yeah. I've been stitching on, well, I had worked on it some, and then I set it aside so I could get some, another section done on my, my Christmas list, because I'm trying to get that done by August 22nd, as part of the Stash Dash challenge. So I had started on, my Hildy's Brew, and then set it aside, and then I picked it back up last night after I finished the section I was working on my Christmas list, and I'm doing it on a dark fabric, and man, it is hard to see. My eyes are getting very old. My eyes and all of me will be 43 years old this year. So yeah, I may have to, I guess this is probably only like the second time that I've stitched on the third time that I've stitched on darker fabric. One of the things I did, which it was a very, very small, I think less than 50 stitches piece, I did the Libra constellation for Dammy for her birthday last year. She and I both are October babies. And then I used that, and it was on like a dark navy blue fabric. I used the leftovers of that fabric and stitched Chicken Joy, which was a freebie pattern that, was it a freebie? Yeah, it was a freebie that Stitching with the Housewives put out for Christmas time, and it had a chicken and a Christmas tree on it, and I stitched it and then mounted it on a mason jar that had lights in it for a friend for Christmas. And then now Hildy's Brew, I'm doing it on a darker fabric. So I tend to stitch more on kind of the kind of natural oatmeal, khaki kind of tan fabric color. Is what most of my stuff is. So that I can see without a problem, but it's just these darker fabrics. And I don't have one of the like stitching lights or whatever to use, so I just have to make sure and use what light I do have to the best option to make it work for me to be able to stitch on that darker fabric. Okay, well, let's do some CC Stitch With Me prompts. This is from the 300 Writing Prompts book. I picked it up at our local Barnes & Noble and was going to use it to journal, and then instead have been using it to do Stitch With Me's. I don't do all the prompts, but do some of them. So I have 3 prompts. I had to make this pattern. I had to enlarge it on my printer because this is the size it is, and it needed to be bigger. I didn't mean to show you all that, but I held it up and then realized what I was showing you. I picked 3 prompts out of here to talk about today, and then we'll call it good for this week. So the first one is complete this thought. I wish an alarm would notify me whenever ... And actually my answer to this is I do have an alarm that notifies me of stuff. I set multitudes of alarms. In fact, I have an app. I should have looked at the name of it before I started recording because I'm recording on my phone. My hands. This camera is my phone. I believe the app is called Alarmed on the iPhone. It's the icon is green. I think it has a hand with a ribbon tied around the finger or something. I use that app for so many alarms. Whether I'm reminding myself to take medication, or reminding myself of, there's something going on sale that I want to try to purchase, and it goes on sale at this time. We use a website and an app called Buffer to schedule social media for both the podcast as well as our knitting design business. I'm trying to decide, I think what I'm going to do, there's another star right over here, but you can see through this fabric pretty easy, and I don't think I want to carry across because there won't be anything to cover. So I think I'm going to end this one and then start the other one. I was debating on that. Anyway, we use this app called Buffer for social media, and up until, I don't know how many months ago it's been now, we were able to schedule to, besides Twitter and Instagram, we were able to schedule to post both to our Facebook page as well as, so we have a CC, what's it called? I think it's CC and Dammy Allman, or CC Allman and Dammy Allman Facebook page. But then I also have my personal profile, and you can schedule it to post to both places. But then Facebook changed something, and it won't post to your personal profile anymore. So I have to set an alarm to remind me to post there when it's posting everywhere else. So I set an alarm, and then I go in and manually post to my personal profile. Of course, I have wake up in the morning alarm. I have an alarm set to remind me, hey, Cece, you actually need to go to sleep. You don't need to stay up until all hours of the morning reading, even though I still do that probably a couple nights a week, but usually weekend nights where I don't have to be up as early. Oops, I split the fabric. There we go. So yeah, I set tons of alarms. So no, I still did split the fabric. I thought I got it into the hole, but I didn't. Hold that thought momentarily. There we go. Okay, that did it. Yeah, so there's nothing that that I can think of that I wish an alarm would notify me for, because I already use alarms to notify me of all kinds of things. So, okay. The next prompt that I'm going to answer is, what are you recovering from right now? I don't know that I'm totally recovering, but I think we are all living right now kind of in a state of just trying to sustain ourselves through the midst of everything that's going on. Um, I think I talked about last week in my Stitch with Me that for quite a bit of time I was pretty much housebound because of my health, um, and didn't expect to be in that place again where I was housebound. But then pandemic happened, and that's kind of where a lot of us are, unless you're an essential worker. Um, and I know, some people are out and about. I mean, whether their state or county or city or whatever is opening back up, or, of course, the Dr. Hubs and Dammy are go out, to get groceries and food and such like that. But yeah, I haven't left the flat. So I feel like once I am able to be out and about again, which I don't know when that'll be, I have to be careful with things because of my health and being at higher risk for if I got exposed and got sick, it wouldn't be very good for me. So I feel like it's going to be, even when I am able to get out and about again, there's going to kind of be a recovery there of having been, kind of opposite of having been in for so long and then being out and about. So I don't know. It's definitely not where I don't think any of us expected to be when this year began. So that is a very tiny piece of floss, and I don't know why it is on my board unless it got. I have a Snippety from Caddy Cross Stitches. This one is polka dots and stripes, and like your floss will stick to it, so it won't fall off. And then also there's a magnet over here under the label, so you can have your scissors or whatever. And there was a tiny piece of floss on there, and I don't know if I maybe I must have accidentally piled it on there when I finished stitching with it and thought I put it in a pile to go in the trash because I don't have my little collapsible trash can out over here, and then it got swept up over there. So anyway, so I think there will be some recovery for all of us as we're able to be out and about and back into the world again after all of this. I'm having to compare the pattern in the little book to the bigger one that I printed, that I enlarged, because two of the colors on the enlargement look very, very similar. And so I'm trying to make sure I'm comparing that with the ones in the book so that I make sure and stitch with the right colors. So right now I am going to use kind of the grayish color, and there's a couple of stitches up here and a couple stitches over here, and then stitches down on the tail. And then after I do that, the remainder will be the fill-in tannish color, brownish tannish color, more tannish color than brown. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm kind of not recovering from, but dealing with. Okay, the last one I'm going to answer for today is, what do you think is the most important thing for today's kids to learn in school? And I need to use the light, or make best use of the light here. I think I talked about this, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, when I was talking about, I don't remember what prompt I was answering, but talking about Dammy's high school years, and us being in Scotland and her being homeschooled, and about how we had made the decision to kind of put her education in her hands during, for those last 4 years of her being homeschooled, in the sense that, after we decided, what classes, which we decided together, what classes she was going to do, beyond the, the required, math, English, etc., and electives, and, we decided all that and everything. And then at the beginning of the semester, I would give her, I would say, okay, this is what you need to accomplish by the end of this semester, which was 90 days. I don't care how you do it, as long as you get it done. I told her, I was like, you can, you could do all of your math at once and just, work on math only until you're done, and then, work on all the English, or, you can spread it out and do a little bit of everything every day. Or there were some classes where maybe she only did those like 2 or 3 times a week or whatever. But I really put it in her hands to be able to plan things out and organize herself and make sure that what needed to get done actually got done. And I think that has been really beneficial for her in college, because she she has the experience of taking, what has to be done for, the entire class, and arranging it to where she's not night before stressing out having to start and finish an entire, big assignment or whatever, because she hasn't planned well. So I think that her having that responsibility while she was still at home, and we were kind of there to be able to help her. The needle does not want to go in the right hole. Go there. There we go. While we were there to be able to help her and hands-on support her, has then given her, gave her that confidence to be able to do that once she got to college. And so I think that, of course, learning, math and science and English and history and foreign language and electives and, all of that is important. Education is important. But I think that it is just as important to teach kids how to think for themselves and how to, put the responsibility into their hands for getting their education and learning done on a timetable. So yeah, I think that is something that that a lot of kids don't get. I think that sometimes we can be too quick to, say, okay, honey, this is what you need to do next. This is what you need to do next. This is what you need to do next. Which, we wouldn't have put that responsibility in Dammy's hands when she was grade school, or even totally in her hands, when she was in middle school or whatever. But I think once she got to the high school point, I think it was important for her to have that responsibility. And, did she make mistakes? Yes. Were we there to be able to be hands-on help when that happened? Yeah. And I think that has made her be, a little more confident when she went to university. So that is what I think, that is one thing that I think is very important that we need to teach our kids, is how to plan for themselves and be able to take the responsibility for getting things done in a timely manner, because they're going to have to do that as adults too. So if we don't teach them now, it's going to just be that much harder for them when they're an adult and have to do it and maybe don't have the hands-on support to be able to do that and be able to make mistakes and all of that. So that is my answer to that one. So I think we will call it a stopping point here. So I have just a little bit more of this gray color to do down here in the tail. And I'm only working on this, I don't think I said this at the beginning, I'm only working on this during Stitch With Me, so that's why you're not seeing any progress on it during the week. So next week when I record my Stitch With Me, I'll do that last bit of gray down here in the tail, and then we'll start the filling in process with the tan. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to answer any of these prompts if you have a FlossTube and want to do that, you can use the hashtag #CCStitchWithMePrompts. Or if you just want to answer some or all of them in the YouTube comments or the like, you're more than welcome to do that. Thank you so much for joining me today. We will be back with you on we recorded it on Thursday, but it'll go live on Friday with our regular weekly episode. And you can find us online at geekygirlsknit.com, and there are links to everywhere. So we are online: iTunes, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm probably saying it in the wrong order because Dammy normally says this, etc. And I hope you have a great week ahead, and look forward to being back with you later in the week. Happy crafting! Bye.